Hey everyone, my name is Cynthia Veronica, and in this video, I want to talk about sports for children with dwarfism. So if you are new to my channel, I have two children. I have my daughter who is 4 years old, Samantha, and my son, Sebastian, who is 6 years old. And Sebastian just happens to have achondroplasia, which is the most common form of dwarfism. So most parents, when they're struggling with their child, tend to say that their son or daughter did not come with an instruction manual. I am probably one of the few parents that can actually say that my son, Sebastian, actually came with a manual. Another parent of a little person gave this to me, and it's called A Little of This, A Little of That, Information, Resources, and Insights on Dwarfism. This manual was published in the 1990s, so almost 3 decades ago, but it's so rich and full of resources, and it has pages and pages of articles on so many important topics. So one of the pages that I have bookmarked in this manual is a sports participation possibility chart for people with dwarfism. And please keep in mind that this is a chart from June 21st, 1993, so it's quite outdated. It's also important to note that I also found an article stating that different doctors may have differences in opinions. So one doctor may say it's totally fine to do some particular sport, and another doctor may say, nope, that sport is off limits because it's bad for the back or the neck or joints or whatever other body part. This chart also displays sports recommendations for different types of dwarfism. And even though there are about 200 different types of dwarfism, this focuses on the 10 most common. So the way we read this table is that if the cell is blank, this means that it is okay for the person with dwarfism to participate. If it has a 0, it means that person may not participate. A number sign means it's okay as long as no back surgery has been performed, and a dollar sign means it's okay as long as they are a good swimmer. So for achondroplasia, almost every sport on this list is okay except football. I will say that even if my son was average height, I would not let him play football because head injuries are so common. That being said, I did find a young man with achondroplasia who played football on a high school team with other players who are all average height. I was blown away by his story. His name is Zach Schreider, and he is so inspirational. He was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he overcame it after 4 cycles of chemotherapy. He was cancer-free and resumed his activities at school. He did weight training and then transitioned to football. He is very dedicated and disciplined and has such a positive mindset. I will put a link to a short video of his story in the description bar below because he is absolutely extraordinary. I want to highlight a few other sports on this list, and one of them is archery. So I mentioned my son is 6 years old and he has achondroplasia, and although we currently play with rubber arrows at the moment, he has really enjoyed archery. I have also seen some videos of people with dwarfism that do archery, and it just seems like such a great skill to learn. I really like sports that focus on accuracy and precision, like archery, bocce ball, bowling, and golf, for instance. Bicycling and tricycling are other recommendations in the chart. For very young children, they can start off on a balance bike and then upgrade to a regular bicycle or tricycle. And there are ways to modify bikes. Strider Bike is a bike company that actually makes adjustments to their bikes to fit your child. When I asked them to modify the bike for Sebastian, they asked for his inseam and other measurements, and then they sent me a smaller wheel to adjust for his size. I will put info on this in the description. There is also a bike company out of the UK called Isla Bikes that plans on mass producing bicycles specifically for adults with dwarfism. I will put an article on this in the description below. Another sport is swimming. Sebastian has taken some swimming lessons before, and it's definitely a great sport to get into. It doesn't put pressure on the joints, so it's definitely a good go-to exercise. One challenge with swimming is that Sebastian hates wearing earplugs. I have purchased 3 different types of earplugs, and he refuses to wear any of them. However, the last time I went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor, the ENT, she told me that they now do not recommend that their patients wear earplugs, even if they have had ear tubes surgically placed, as is the case with Sebastian. I will say that she does not specialize in achondroplasia, and I am not really convinced that she is right on this. So this is just another example of where different doctors have different opinions on similar circumstances, because I know of other doctors that highly recommends earplugs if you do have ear tubes in. There are a number of other swimmers with achondroplasia that I have found. There was a young boy who I think was from Australia, and he was a phenomenal swimmer, and he was breaking records. Whenever he was bullied for his size, he would challenge the bullies to get in the pool with him and see how they would fare against him. So there's also Will Perry, who is a 21-year-old British Paralympic swimmer with achondroplasia, and he is an amazing athlete. And also Ellie Simmons, who has achondroplasia as well and is a 5-time Paralympic gold medalist. Both are very inspirational. Here is a brief clip of Ellie swimming. Soccer is another one. My son played soccer with his classmates at school. So Sebastian is 6 years old and goes to a Montessori school, so the children in his class range from age 3 to 6 years old. There's a soccer company called World Cup Soccer Camp that allows for anyone to form a team 8 weeks at a time, as long as there are a minimum of 8 children signed up. So another parent from Sebastian's school set up a reoccurring soccer camp that anyone from the school could join. It's been a great experience. You can basically start a soccer camp through them if you live in California, Colorado, Nevada, New York, or Texas. All you need is at least 8 players to start this, and they operate year-round. I will put a link to this in the description below. Wouldn't it be great to start a year-round soccer camp with all children with dwarfism participating? I mean, I think that would be amazing. Horseback riding is another sport on this list. I actually was a little surprised that this was listed on the chart because it seems like a fall would be very dangerous and could even be devastating. But I did find a young lady with achondroplasia that does horseback riding, and she loves it and she rides really well. Basketball is another sport. Jamani Swanson defied all odds. He has achondroplasia and actually is part of the Harlem Globetrotters. Here is a brief clip, and I encourage you to check out the link in the description because he is so inspirational and has a great story, and he really carries himself with so much strength, pride, and dignity. Skateboarding is another sport. It seems dangerous to me because I feel like falls could be very painful and hard on the body, but there is a young man that has mastered the sport. He loves it and is a pro skater, and here's a short clip. There are other sports that are not highlighted here in the chart that I want to briefly mention. There's sledge hockey, or sled hockey in American English, which is an adaptation of ice hockey but designed for players with physical disabilities. It actually looks like more fun than regular hockey, to be honest. There's also snowboarding. Snowboarding is another sport, and there's actually adaptive snowboarding gear that a company is working on and has worked with an Australian girl named Holly. Surfing is another sport. A boy named Sebastian Desposado from San Diego is a wonderful surfer and is featured in an article, which I will put in the description. Coxswain in rowing is another option. A coxswain is basically the person in charge of navigating the team members to steer the boat. There's also martial arts, which is great because you really focus on inner strength and discipline. And sparring aside, you really focus on your own training and physical, mental, and spiritual development. Wrestling is another one, and be careful when you Google dwarfism and wrestling, but when you look at it professionally, it's another great option. My son actually loves to wrestle his sister and me, and for some reason, I just look at him and I think he would be really good at this sport. It's just something that seems so innate in him. He is small, but he's also very strong. This is a photo of Serge Rush, a wrestler with achondroplasia. He has really compensated for his lack of height with strength and speed, and even went undefeated for months during one season. Cheerleading is another option, and there is a young lady with achondroplasia who did this in high school. She was very determined and excelled in it. It does seem a little dangerous to me, not just for someone with achondroplasia, but even average height, because I think there are a lot of injuries in this sport. But, maybe there can be some modifications to help prevent this. So there are really so many possibilities when it comes to sport. Another resource is DAAA, which is Dwarf Athletic Association of America, and I will put a link to this in the description. You can look into the website for more information on this organization. So I hope this was helpful and inspirational. Remember to get your doctor's approval before starting anything. And if you have any doubts at any time, even if you have your doctor's approval, listen to your body or your child's body, stop and reevaluate. But know that there are many possibilities out there, and you can help your child find what interests them and what works for their body. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.